This is so 2013 coded. I absolutely love this idea. Wild Fern earlier this week posted a video answering 10 sort of questions, kind of as a reflection on her experience with plants in 2025, the good, the bad, predictions for the future, all that kind of thing. And then at the end of her video, she challenged other planty creators to respond to these questions too, and kind of create this sense of like a community where we can all see each other's answers to these things, see how our 2025s differed or were the same, or like maybe we can relate to things that other creators have gone through this past year. And I think it's just generally a brilliant idea. So well done, Fern. I love this so much. Like, if you're watching this, thank you. But I am going to be answering those 10 questions today in this video. If you haven't gone and watched Fern's video, which I mean, I kind of doubt it because she's amazing, and I will link that down below in the description as well. But I'm excited to share my answers to these questions, and this kind of acts as a precursor to some of the things that I'm going to be talking about in longer videos later in the month, like about goals and wish list stuff and whatnot, like general like year roundup sort of content. And so this kind of gives you a little like sneak peek at some of those videos coming down the line. Before I get into it though, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you returning. Also, I would love to hear your answers to these questions down below. So I have put the questions in the description. Feel free to answer them below in the comments. I would love to hear your experiences from 2025, like learn about your care routines and all of the stuff involved in these questions. So feel free to answer them in the comments. I look forward to seeing what you have to say. So without any further ado, let us get into these questions. So the first question is, what plant have you crossed off your wish list in 2025? And I'm really lucky in that I was able to cross off quite a lot of wish list plants in 2025. I know I'm in a privileged position where I can put my wish list out into the world, and if someone has something that they want to take a cutting of or would want to do a swap with me, I'm very lucky that I have that sort of platform where that is quite accessible to me. And so a lot of the wishlist plants that I got over 2025 were from followers and subscribers and mutuals in the sort of plant community, which makes me so happy. I love this sort of community. I didn't tend to buy as many because in general I'm trying not to buy too much or add too much to my collection. I'm still on the downsize train kind of as much as I possibly can be with so many beautiful plants out there. But the one that I'm probably most excited for / has been on my wish list for the longest amount of time, that I've been thinking about for the longest, that I got this year was a cutting of variegated Hoya polyneura. And this is the outer variegated one. I would still absolutely love to have a inner variegated one. Oh my god, that'd be amazing. But I was able to swap this at another plant swap in October this year as a tiny little cutting. And it was a little bit rooted, but it has since definitely rooted a little bit more. You can see there, it's rooted a little bit more. And it looks like it might be putting out a tiny bit of new growth. It's kind of hard to see in there, but it looks like it might be. So that's super exciting. If I can get this one to grow anywhere near as big as my bigger polyneura, I will be freaking amazed. And one day, if I can get the inner variegated one as well, I can kind of join them together and make a beautiful mixed pot. That would be amazing. But I am feeling so lucky to have this, and I'm so glad I was able to take this one off the wish list this year. It is such a beautiful plant. Oh, I love it so much. But I actually got quite a few wishlist plants this year, and if you haven't watched my video sharing the ones I got and talking about whether or not they were worth it, I recommend you go watch that. I will link it in the little information-y thing up here, and you can go watch that and see all of the lovely wishlist plants I got this year. Question 2 is, what genus do you want to get into in the new year? I would love to try some more pinguiculas and get some more variety on those, because I have loved growing my pings. I love my little pingdom, and maybe creating some more of those would be really fun in the sort of new year, and getting more. I'd love to try more carnivorous plants as well, because now that I've tried the pings and like had somewhat of success, I think I have more confidence in trying more of them. That being said, the little Drosera, I got like both of them earlier this year, absolutely did not do well, and like one might be still living, but one completely died off. And so those might be a little bit still out of my wheelhouse, but I would love to give more carnivorous plants a go, and maybe even try like pitcher plants and more pings and trying more things like that. I think as well it's kind of nice that they're smaller, on their smaller side, because I'm not trying to like, I've got too many plants as it is. I don't want to be adding like more big plants to my collection if I possibly can. So sort of that is the main one. I think carnivorous plants, though it's not a genus, I feel like it's a category that works well enough for that sort of question. The next question is, what is your plant care routine? And the thing is, as someone who absolutely loves routines and like things to go according to plan, I don't have a plant care routine in that like sort of strict sense of the word. It's not like every Tuesday I wake up and water these plants in this room. On Thursdays, I spend my days doing moss pulls, and Fridays I do repots. Like, if only it was that organized. I kind of am an as and when sort of plant care person, which I don't know, it kind of goes against like a lot of my general other personality, so I don't know why that is the case. I try in general to water in the mornings if I need to. It's sort of like when I'm thinking about doing plant care in a day, one, I'm trying to take you with me as much as I possibly can, because I like making plant tours videos. I like sharing my journey with everyone, and so like I like doing that. And so the first thing I always think of doing is watering. Like, it's always the thing I want to do first in the morning. I don't know why. I try and spread out different rooms in my home to not all need water at the same time, because when I do need to water like everything at once, I find that incredibly overwhelming. And so if I can avoid that, I do. Of course, that's not always like reasonable, and like I'm like prepping now to sort of go away on holiday, and so I'm letting things dry out a little bit more before giving everything a big water before I go away, sort of thing. And once I get back, I'll have to water everything, and then I can slowly sort of get back into staggering things a little bit more. That's sort of my ideal, so I'm only really doing one area at a time, so it's not too much. I tend to do repotting in the afternoons, and usually that's because the cats are chiller in the afternoons. Literally, they're both off in different rooms right now sleeping, and so that's usually when I can get like more like messy things done, because they're not as much in the way, if that makes sense. In the morning, I feel like they just run around and cause chaos. And so the afternoons tend to be a little bit better for that, though Cosmo does still come hang out with me while I do repots most of the time. And if I'm not filming, like taking you along with me on any sort of plant toursy things in my routine, I tend to listen to an audiobook. I don't normally do it for watering, because that tends to go by quite quickly. Like if I just have to water a room, I'm not going to put my headphones in and listen to like, 3 minutes of an audiobook? It doesn't quite make sense. But if I am doing like bigger plant chores like repotting or something, I'll pop in usually an audiobook. I don't really listen to music. I used to do podcasts, but now I've gone fully into that audiobook sphere, and I kind of love it. Or I'll like watch some like trashy TV, something I don't need to like totally pay attention to. The sort of like Love is Blind, Secret Life of Mormon Wives level of like paying attention to. That sort of thing is my sort of go-to. Occasionally play into YouTube as well. Don't tend to watch it as much, because it's like that's what I do for my work, so it's like, do I want to do that in my spare time as well? Maybe, but sometimes I do watch that, and it kind of feels nice to have someone to do plenty chores with at the same time, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's sort of my routine kind of thing. I don't know if I would call it a routine, but that's like generally how I tend to do my sort of plant care. And I know everyone's so different, and so I'm excited to see what a lot of other people have to say about like what their plant care routine is, because maybe I could get some inspiration from all of you. The next one is a plant success story from 2025, and I don't have a specific plant story that I want to share, but one thing that I'm proud of myself planty wise is winning a gold medal at the RHS Malvern Spring Festival for my show garden this year. In May time, I did a show garden at an RHS festival and basically spent months, I'm talking months, like I was working on this in October 2024, like planning it, months, like planning and prepping for this indoor plant show garden, houseplant show garden, and like building it up and finally seeing it come to fruition and to like get a gold medal in it. It's something I'm so incredibly proud of myself for. And yes, it was a lot of hard work of planning, a lot of stress, but I think it was probably one of the most fun things I have done in my sort of like plant career. Because I mean, I do have an art and like installation background. I used to work in a museum installing exhibitions. And so this kind of brought like the two sides of my life together in a way. And I got to install a planty exhibition basically, which is like the joining of my lives. And so it brought back all those old memories and the things I used to enjoy about that, and like the problem solving and working things out and building and working with my hands, all of those things that I absolutely love. It let me do that, and like the sort of stress and chaos of build week, and it was just the most fun thing and so stressful, and I was so full of anxiety for many months. Joke and a test. It was not, like, that part wasn't fun, but like, even if I didn't win a gold medal, I'd be extremely proud of myself for the accomplishment of exhibiting at an RHS event. I think that is pretty freaking crazy, and anyone who does, like, claps to you, pat yourself on the back, because it is such an accomplishment, and it is such hard work, and I personally think that it paid off for me, and I loved it. I enjoyed all of it. Even the bits that were sort of stressful and like anxiety inducing, I still loved it, and I still think I would do it again at some point, maybe in the future, probably not next year, because I was definitely like beat after this last one and I was so exhausted. But maybe doing something similar down the line, I would absolutely love that. And while it isn't like a specific plant success, it's like a me planty success for 2025. And it's one of the things that I am most proud of in my life. And that happened this year. And I kind of like, I forget because it felt like it was so long ago. But yeah, it was so much fun. And I really, really loved it. And then of course, the other side of the coin, a plant failure from 2025. And in general, I don't think I lost too many plants from this past year. I think I've done a better job recently where if I'm falling out of love with a plant and like starting to notice myself ignoring it, I will get rid of it first, like sell it off, trade it off, give it to a friend, something like that, before it gets to the point where I'm letting it just die, which I think is really good. But one plant that like sticks out in my mind is the Begonia Hatakoa Silver. I loved this plant. It was so beautiful, like amazing begonia with silver leaves, and I got it in semi-hydro, and it was doing decently well after it kind of recovered from the shock of semi-hydro. But in June time of this year, it had an absolute meltdown. I think we were having a heat wave in the UK, and it just caused this thing to like simultaneously melt and crisp up, and like it went all pink and droopy, which was like kind of pretty, but like obviously not ideal. And within like 48 hours, it was toast. It went from being fine to being dead so quickly, and it was just root rotted down in the like semi-hydro as well, and it was just gone. There was absolutely no saving it, and I don't know how I could have, because it like went so fast. Like it didn't have pests or anything, it just died. And I feel like that was probably my biggest failure, because I don't know how I could have done something differently, but I didn't have time enough to try anything, so it felt like quite a failure. And I don't know, maybe I'll try another one at some point. I'm not like jonesing to get another one. I'm not like, I need to replace this plant immediately, but it was a really pretty begonia. So if I could get another one in the future, I think I would quite like that. Ooh, a plant trend prediction for 2026. I've been saying it for months now. Marantas. I think marantas are going to like boom again this coming year. They kind of had a moment several years back, maybe in like 2021 or 2022. They like the sort of like Maranta lemon lime was like kind of all the rage. It was still very expensive. You couldn't really find things like the silver band or the light veins or the cat mustache anywhere, but like they were still sought after. And then they kind of just like disappeared off the radar. I ended up getting rid of all of my Marantas just for some reason or another. Some had thrips, some didn't do well. It just happens. And since doing my big box shopping videos where I'm seeing literal like lemon lime Marantas go for the same price as the Maranta Fascinator. And I'm like, mind blown. When the heck did this happen? How are these suddenly so accessible and so cheap? They're just like everywhere. And like the fact that you could get a silver band in B&Q, mental, but I love it. So I have a feeling that these sort of more uncommon Marantas are going to come back in style, and hopefully we can see more of them. I mean, I'm glad I collected these three in October. I've got the cat mustache there, the light veins, and the silver band. I didn't mean to like surround myself with Marantas, but I just like where these are. I think they sit nicely here. Also because they are fairly easy growing, low maintenance plants, I think that helps. Because in general, I think we are leaning more towards that direction with the sort of plant trends, as well as variegated plants. I think those are still going to be on the rise, and things like variegated alocasias are getting so much like more accessible and so much more affordable, as well as variegated begonias. I've been seeing more and more of those pop up, and I think they're just going to be easier and easier to get, and so they're going to rise in popularity massively. Those are just my thoughts. I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of what I think is going to happen in 2026 for like plant trends. Question 7 is, what season do you find the most challenging when it comes to plant care? I feel like a lot of people might say summer or spring sort of growing season when things are just like booming and there's just so much to do all of the time. But I find winter so much harder. I think part of it is because like plant care is slowing down, the plants are like absorbing moisture slower, and I overcorrect on that and underwater them even more. And so in general, I find that my plants are drier in winter, and I think that's just because I'm not as on top of the ball, whereas in summer you kind of have to just be on top of it, otherwise you're gonna lose plants. Whereas in winter, I find it so much easier to let things dry out too much because it's not as regular of a thing to do. And so like when something's not as regular, my mind doesn't think of it as often, and so it just like ends up getting dropped. And like things like my moss poles are so dry as well all the time. I like in the summer I'm watering them every couple of days because I know it's what I need to do to keep them moist. And I think I still need to do that in the winter. It's just maybe something like maybe every 4 or 5 days instead of every 2 or 3 days. And that difference messes with my mind, and I can no longer keep it as a sort of regular thing. Also, I personally really struggle doing plant care of any sort, like watering, repotting, or whatever, at night. I don't know why, but as soon as it's dark, I don't want to do it. I don't know why my brain works that way, but it does. Same when it's like gloomy and rainy out. I think the sort of UK winter, short, dark, gloomy, rainy days does not help with my motivation, and throw in a little bit of seasonal affective disorder or like seasonal depression. That is a combination that does not bode well for my plants, and I just find getting the motivation to get up and do plant care so much less during the sort of winter time. So this is currently the time of year I struggle with the most in plant care right now. I know we're not like officially in winter yet, but like we're getting there and it's hard. Next is, what plant pest do you struggle with or fear the most? So the plant pest I think I have the most in my collection generally is thrips. They just like tend to pop up here and there a lot of the time, but because I've had them so much, I feel like I've gotten used to dealing with them, and I understand how to get rid of them. I have my like predatory mite sachets like on a subscription, and so I'm getting those pretty regularly. And when I am doing that properly and not just leaving a packet unopened for a month, which I did do earlier this year, and it did mean that I did have a little bit of an infestation. In general, I don't have to deal with them all that much, but when I do, I know how to, and like if it gets really bad, I can always like chemical pesticide, even though it's my sort of like last stitch effort to get rid of them, and it's not my preference. If I can possibly do it without using chemical pesticides, I like to, but that isn't always an option, and like if I just need to get it done, I will. So those are the ones that I have the most in my collection, but I wouldn't say that I struggle with them the most. I think I struggle with spider mites the most because one, they just like randomly pop up out of nowhere, probably because they've been dormant for up to a year on your plants until like the conditions are correct. Freaking annoying. So they just like pop up out of nowhere. And then I find treating spider mites quite difficult because you need to be spraying with isopropyl alcohol like every 2 to 3 days for weeks in order to like actually get rid of them and get through their entire life cycle. And like I've got a plant in my bathroom right now that's got spider mites. And every single day when I go in there and I look on it again, I see at least one spider mite and I squish it. But like I see a spider mite every single day on that plant. And like I am still spraying it like every few days with isopropyl. And I'm like, I don't know what the heck is wrong. And so I just find them probably the most annoying to like get rid of, and I struggle with them the most, even though I don't have them the most in my collection. Maybe the answer is I need to get some predatory mites for spider mites in addition to my ones for thrips, but that would be like doubling my pest prevention spending in a year if I needed to do both. And like I don't really like the look of the sachets on my plants. Like I know they're there for a reason, but I just think they're kind of ugly. So unless someone wants to invent cuter ways to like have preventative pest control in my plants, I think I'm just gonna have to suck it up and get some predatory mites for spider mites too. Next is, what is your top wishlist plant for 2026? And I will do a full wishlist plant video in 2026, even though I'm not like actively trying to seek out wishlist plants at the minute, or like in general. If they sort of come my way, I would not be mad about that. More on that soon. I think my top one is the Hoya Polyneura Gisenia. Oh my god, this thing is so freaking beautiful. It's kind of like if a brochet and a variegated Polyneura had a baby, and I think it is so cool, so perfect. I would love to add one to my collection. I know that they are not accessible. I know that if I find one online, it's not going to be cheap. I'm not trolling eBay for wishlist plants or anything. I don't in generally do that. I try not to like seek things out and like look for them, because then I will end up buying them. And I'm trying not to buy too much most of the time. And so it's more like if I put it out into the world and I end up getting it through a swap or someone reaches out or something like that, fantastic. But I think the Gisenia is one that I'd be tempted to like search for more so in 2026 than just like wait and see whether or not it happens. And then the final question is, what is your favorite plant of 2025? That is a hard one. My favorites video is also coming later this month in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Here are probably my top 10 plants from this past year. But one of the ones on that list that I have loved so much has been my Alocasia Stingray. I think this one has absolutely like boomed this year. It has grown so many leaves. It has been so bushy. It has pushed out so many baby corms, and the leaf size on it has gotten so big that I'm amazed by this plant, and I love it so much. I think it's so cool and so weird and so fun, and I am just so glad that it has done so well for me this past year. And I'm glad that I've been able to share it as well with people by giving them corms, because that's super exciting. Definitely Alocasia Stingray is up there. I don't know if it's my top. I struggle to pick a very, very top, but that is definitely one that I knew 100% was going to be on my like top favorites of 2025 list, because it is such a cool one and it has done so well for me during this time. So there we go. Those are my answers to those questions. I really enjoyed answering them. I think it's such a fun thing, and I really look forward to reading your comments down below and seeing what your answers to them are, because I don't know, I just think all this is so much fun. Like, the community is great. And again, thank you, Wildfern, for like coming up with this idea and creating this sort of like trend challenge tag thing. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Oh, should I challenge like someone specifically? Should I like tag someone? Okay, I'm gonna tag Claire at the Jungle Haven and Planting Ashley. I want to hear your answers to these, whether you put them in the comments or you make a whole video down below. I would love to see that. So maybe keep an eye out on their channels to see what they have to say as answers to these questions as well in the future, or just like tag them like crazy and like get their attention to watch this. I mean, I will literally text both of them to go do it if they want to, but hopefully you'll see those in the future. Otherwise, I want to say a huge thank you to the newest member of my Good Growing fam over on Patreon, Andrea. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you love all of the bonus content and live chats, access to the Discord server, polls where you can vote on videos that I make on this channel, and just generally getting to know me and the other patrons better. If anyone else is interested in joining, the lowest tier is £3 a month, and for that you get pretty much the bulk of everything. I like to keep it as low as possible, but if you can support more, that is also greatly appreciated. So if you are interested in joining, the link is down below in the description, but absolutely no pressure if that is not your thing. And I still say, it's a great gift. If you want to gift it as well, the link is down in the description as well. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!